This week I had a conversation with one of my favorite students, and he asked me a question that I'm sure you have asked yourself many times. He said, Tiff, I've been studying English for a long time. I listen to a lot of things and I read a lot of books, but I don't seem to be improving. He said that when he listens to different audio clips or watches a drama and tries to understand what they're saying, he may understand, but later on, he's not able to use what he learned. And he said it's frustrating. So I want to ask you, have you ever experienced that? Like you put a lot of effort and time into studying English and you see things on TV, you hear things in various conversations, but you just can't seem to use the expressions and vocabulary words like a native English speaker, and it's frustrating. I told this student, I said, I understand what you're going through. I went through the exact same thing when I was studying Korean. Korean is not an easy language to learn. It's a beautiful language, but it's not easy. And I helped him to understand that I also experienced the same frustrations. But in the midst of our conversation, I let him know three things. Three things that will transform his English journey. And I want to teach you those three things today. I'm Teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. All right, just like the student I mentioned, there are three things I told him to do. Three things that must be done. You see, you want to know how to take in new pieces of information, how to process the new pieces of information, and how to remember and use the new pieces of information. So here we go. Step number 1, learn a new word, expression, or idiom. And maybe you're like, teacher, we kind of already know that. Oh, no. Stay along. I'm going to explain it to you. So here's the thing. When it comes to learning a new expression, idiom, or vocabulary word, how can you do this? First, you need to learn it from a video, a blog, a conversation, an English book, or any other natural English source. Now, notice I said natural. And why am I saying it's important to find these words and expressions from a natural source? You see, as an English learner, I'm sure you have been to many different institutes. You've had many other amazing English teachers, and you've looked at many English textbooks. But you've also noticed that sometimes what you learn in a textbook is not always what native English speakers use. Now, don't get me wrong. The textbooks are important. They are your foundation. But you may get to a point where you experience the frustration my student experienced because he's not able to use the natural expressions that we as Americans or native English speakers use. That's why the natural English resources or the sources, they're so important. All right. So how do you do it? From a video, blog, conversation, or English book, or any other natural source. Now, why? Always walk through life as if you have something new to learn, and you will. I love this quote from Vernon Howard, and it kind of re-emphasizes the fact that your English language studies are part of a journey, not to a specific destination. This journey is going to be throughout the rest of your life. Think about it. I'm still learning new things in English, and I mentioned in the previous video, young people are still teaching me new expressions, new slang terms, and I'm happy to learn them. But again, I'm a native English speaker, and my journey is still continuing. So just like Vernon says, remember, walk through life and be excited to learn. So first, again, learn a new English expression, idiom, or vocabulary word. This is every day. Now, what will the results be? Here we go. You will develop the ability to use real English. In other words, your English will start to sound more natural. Now, here's something funny. Last week, I taught Gucci, right? I mentioned that I taught that also on my Instagram page. Looking for my phone, guys. Oh, well, I'll just tell you anyway. So I mentioned that on my Instagram channel that I explained Gucci. Now that's a slang term. And some of you actually sent me messages, some in the comment section, and some the Academy students said, teacher, oh, that's Gucci. And immediately my feeling changed a little bit because you used something that's naturally used in America by Americans, and my feeling changed in a good way. So it helps you to sound more natural when you get English from natural English sources. All right. Okay. So let's see exactly how this can be done. Let's say, for example, like I mentioned, Gucci. This is a screenshot from last week's video. All right. So I taught Gucci. Now, this term naturally came up during a Q&A with Teacher Tiff episode. So you learn some new English slang. Again, like I mentioned, from a natural source in a natural conversation, right? Hold on one second. I'm not sick. Don't worry, guys. All right. So again, first thing, learn a new vocabulary word, expression, or idiom. Now, after you do that, this step is important. So important. Teach it to 3 other people immediately. This is the step right here. That's the key. And I told my student, I said, here's the deal. You're learning so many things, but you feel frustrated because you're not able to use them and you feel like your English isn't improving. Well, the middle step that's missing is you have to teach somebody else. And maybe you're asking yourself, teacher, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student learning from you. That is true. But when you learn something or when you see something exciting, what do you naturally do? You share it with somebody else. Basically, a viral video is that. Something you see on TV or something you see on the internet, like, oh, this is so funny. Oh my goodness. My friend would love this too. And you share it with your friend. So you're actually teaching your friend about this video. So it's a natural habit of ours to tell other people something that's important to us, funny to us, or interesting to us. Do the same thing when it comes to English. So let's look at this a little bit closer. All right. So again, teach it to 3 other people. So you see this young man right here. Find 3 friends or other English learners you are connected to and tell them what you learned and explain it. Now, again, you're not worrying about your grammar right now. Like, oh, I can't explain it properly with the full sentence. It's okay. I taught you guys Gucci, right? Explain that to a friend. It's something funny and something interesting. Explain it in your own words. All right. Now, why? This is because when a student spends time teaching what they have learned, they eventually start to understand the information more and remember it. Isn't that amazing? The way your brain works is awesome. So when you literally take the time to, okay, I learned this new expression from Teacher Tiffany. Let me tell my friend, your brain starts operating in a different way because now you have to take in the information, process it, and then regurgitate or produce it again. Your brain is amazing. That's why this is so important to teach 3 people. And you all know how much I love the rules of 3, right? So 3 people, again, you're going to teach the first person, maybe you're a little nervous. The second person, okay, I'm a little bit more comfortable. By the third person, hey, let me tell you about this word I learned from Teacher Tiff. Makes sense? All right. Now, what are the results going to be? Here we go. The result, you will remember more information, feel more confident in your English speaking ability, and be able to use what you learn faster in real conversations. Think about it. You learn something, right? And usually, like the student that I was talking to, you learn it and you're by yourself. Maybe you write it down, but it stops. But if you learn it, share it with 3 people, that's 4 times your brain has had the opportunity to process it. So when you come to a situation that requires that expression or word, you're like, oh man, I'm already comfortable with this expression or vocabulary word, and it will come out in a natural way. So let's see again how this is going to work. How can you actually share it with 3 people? So again, back to the example. This student learned Gucci from me last week. The student goes to his 3 friends and says, hey guys, guess what I just learned? Have you ever heard someone say Gucci? It's actually an English slang term that means good or nice. So I can say, that new car is Gucci. Man, I love this slang. Now, I have seen students do this actually. Well, they'll learn something from me and be so excited that they'll share it with someone else naturally. And the students that do that are the students that remember the slang and use it later. So you may say, teacher, I don't have friends that I can actually share it with. Well, what I noticed was students that are in my academy, these are some screenshots of our private group. We have a family group just for students in my academy. And they share things with each other on a regular basis. They tell each other what they're studying. They give each other advice for the IELTS exam, or advice for how to learn new vocabulary words. And when they learn something new, they post it to the group and say, hey guys, have you ever heard of this? It's pretty awesome. And then other students ask them questions and they immediately have to teach their friends and other students. So I've seen it work in our family group. Again, if you're not a part of my academy and you're not a part of our family, hopefully you can join today. Click the link right in the description, or you can go to letsjumprightin.com. But again, part 2 or step 2 is you must teach it to 3 other people. 3 people who are learning English just like you. All right. Now, so we have learn something new, teach it to 3 people. What's the third step? What did I tell my student? Or what should you do? Here we go. Now, the third step is also very important. You need to write it in your notebook. Now, looking at this right here, how can you do that? You need to write the word or expression, the meaning, and describe where and how you learned it. You see how I'm very specific. I didn't just say, write the word, write the definition. No. You need to also connect it to the situation, connect it to the place where you saw the word, where you heard the word, or where someone used it around you. You see, because that will create a trigger for your brain. For example, the students that heard me say Gucci, right? They remember I said Gucci during my video, the last video where I talked about my personal information, about being married, about learning new things, and learning a new language being a journey. So they have this kind of trigger in their brain. And even if you don't recognize it, your brain, woo-wee, is awesome. So you need to put these 3 pieces of information inside of your notebook. The word or expression, the meaning, and then where you learned it. All right. Now, why is this so important? Here's the quote. When you write down your ideas, you automatically focus your full attention on them. This is from Michael LeBouf. So by writing things down, you actually tell your brain, hey, right, this right here is important. I need you to remember it. Your brain says, okay, we can remember this information. And then you say, oh, by the way, brain, here's a trigger. I learned it from teacher Tiffany's video where she talked about why she's not married yet. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out. But again, you're giving your brain these triggers and it will help you to remember the information that you're learning. All right. Now, what will the result be? Here we go. You will be able to track your progress as you study English, and you will also be able to review what you learn each day. So again, it's important to track your progress. I think I've mentioned it to you before. Many of you have seen all of my YouTube videos, and I'm so happy. However, sometimes you may watch the videos, not take notes, and not put into practice what I've taught. It's not important to just sit and watch something or read a book. You have to go to the next level. You have to teach what you learn and then write it down. That's how your brain is able to connect and actually help you to start using what you learn. All right. So let's see what my notebook would look like. Okay, here we go. Going back to my screen. So for example, again, learned Gucci. Student spread it to 3 different friends. This student here. Then he went to his notebook and wrote Gucci. The meaning, good, well, or nice. The source, I learned it while watching an episode of Q&A with Teacher Tiff. Now, what's going to happen for this student? As he goes back and reviews his notes, he may say, oh man, I can't remember how to use Gucci properly. I mean, I know the meaning, but how did she use it? Well, since he wrote down the source, he can go right back and then provide visual triggers to help him remember the word later on, the slang term later on. Kind of makes sense? All right, so again, now this is something I want you to do. In part 2, I go into more detail and I give you a 7-day worksheet. I tell you some videos, blogs, and podcasts to listen to, and I explain it even more. Again, part 2 is always for my Academy students because I want to take you guys to the next level. If you're not already a member, all you have to do is click the link in the description. Now, part 2, again, is going to be so helpful because I literally found a podcast. I found a website. I found a video that you can use. And sometimes students, just like you, have a hard time knowing which videos, which blogs, or even which podcasts to listen to. So again, if you're not a student, click the link right in the description. Let's jump right in.com. Join the Academy and you can watch part 2 right now. Now, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember, these 3 things you must do every day if you want to take your English to the next level. It's not just about learning new things. You must also do what? Teach 3 people, and you need a family. So join the Academy and you can join our family and you'll have a group that supports you each and every day as you study English. After you share it, then you write it down and you review it after that. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm so happy that you guys want to speak English, and I'm also so honored to be your teacher. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember, I will be back next week. I will be back next week to give you some more tips. But as you wait for me to come next week, don't forget to speak English. Oh yeah, you know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right, so today's story is actually connected to my passion and love for teaching. So I'm going to go all the way back to when I was in university, and I think I was a sophomore. So I was about 18 or 19 years old. And I remember we had a class. It was a statistics class. Now for pronunciation practice, let's do it together. Statistics. There you go. One more time. Statistics. Last time. Statistics. Good job. All right. So it was a statistics class. Even for Americans, pronunciation can be tricky. So anyways, it was a statistics class and I love math. So statistics can be a little bit tricky sometimes though. So anyways, I took the class and the class was being given by a professor from another university. He was just coming over to our university to teach the class. And it was a bit tricky, but he was a good teacher and he told us how to study. So anyways, one day he gave us an assignment and I went back to my room and that night and I studied hard and I did the assignment and then I handed in my homework. And my professor, he was an older white guy, older kind of short white guy. In my memory, now that I'm thinking back, he kind of reminded me of a short Santa Claus. Like he had kind of like the facial hair, glasses, really nice guy. Older gentleman. I think at that time he may have been about 50. And I think I handed him my homework and it was at the beginning of class. And at the beginning of class, students started to ask him questions. Like they didn't understand, say, one of the questions on the homework assignment. And I think, let's say, for example, it was number 5. And he looked at me and he said, "Tiff, come up to the board and teach how to do this question." Now, the class was not small. There were about 30 or 40 students in the class. Now, again, I was young. I may have been 18 or 19. And he said, "Tiff, come to the front and I want you to teach this problem. I want you to show us how to do it." And I still remember this to this day. So I walked up and, I took at that time we had chalk or I think we had markers. And I looked at the question and it was kind of like he wasn't very talkative, but I just remember feeling like he believed in me and he trusted me enough to teach this class. I was 18 or 19. I was 19 years old. This is a 50-year-old professor. He knew his stuff, very intelligent, and he's trusting this 19-year-old to teach an entire class how to do a certain problem. And I showed them what I did on my paper and I explained how to do the problem. And I just remember him kind of looking at me with a look of, I guess, like, good job, like you did a great job. And when I think about my passion for teaching, that's kind of one of the first moments where I realized I enjoy helping people understand difficult concepts. I enjoy seeing other students be able to gain confidence in their ability to do something. So, I'm an English teacher now, and, I have a passion for teaching you all. But again, when I think about different experiences that happened throughout my life that showed me that, hey, maybe teaching is where I'm going to be in the future, that's one of the first times I think it clicked that, teaching is something that I really love. And I think it may be something in my future. Now, after that, I got a job at NASA and did web development. I didn't teach after that. That was many years before I went to Korea. But I still remember that situation. And I remember how he believed in me and gave me the opportunity, even as a young person, to teach 30 or 40 other students. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want to do the same for you. Right now, you are learning, and I'm kind of in the professor's spot that I mentioned to you in the story. And though I may not be able to physically hand you the chalk or hand you the marker, I want to hand it over to you kind of metaphorically and say, start teaching what you're learning. Just like we talked about in today's lesson. Don't feel shy. Don't feel like you're not good enough. As you learn, teach somebody else, and I guarantee it's going to start building up in you a confidence you never knew you had. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to teach you, but now I want to hand it over to you, and I want to see you teach somebody else. Teach somebody else what you're learning. And again, let us know. You can always let us know in the comments what you did. And again, if you're already a member of my academy, you can let us know in our family chat room, a private chat room. So again, if you're not a part of our family, please join us. I love to see all of the conversations that happen on a regular basis, the students encouraging each other and moving forward as they study English. So I hope you enjoyed this story, guys. I'll never forget that professor, and I really appreciated his confidence in me. And yeah, we'll see what the next 10 years have in store as a teacher, but I hope I'll be in your life for a long time. All right, guys, I'll see you next week.